Hello everybody, Simon here. Just a quick video to let you know we have hit 1,000 subscribers.
Hooray! Tell you what, how about everyone comes back to my place for a drink? Hooray!
Wait, I need to go to the toilet first.
Hooray!
So the content-lit channel has been growing at a steady pace for the past couple of months. I started the whole thing back in June of last year, so it's taken a tiny bit longer to get here than I would have expected, but that isn't to say it hasn't been a pleasure to work on the whole way. Originally, the concept for the whole project was to talk about the best books of the 20th century. In reality though, I think it's pretty transparent that I've used that tagline as an excuse to talk about my personal favourites. You know, I don't think any English professors are going to include The Dice Man by Luke Reinhardt or The Farthest Shore by Ursula K. Le Guin on any lists of great Western literature. So it's just been a really fulfilling way for me to spend time with books that had an impact on me and get to know them in a much deeper way than if I'd just read them and moved on. In one sense, this means that nothing much is going to change around here now that we've hit the big 1,000. I'll still be releasing long-form deep dives into my favourite books, but I'll also be able to enjoy another aspect of the channel even more. You guys. As far as I'm aware, when a YouTube channel has 1,000 subscribers, it's able to activate a community tab feature. You might have seen little community posts from other channels in your feed. Now that I'll be able to run my own, you can expect to see updates on what I'm working on, polls about what might interest you in the future, and of course just random chatter about books that happen to be in my reading pile. For me, one of the things that's encouraged me to put out content on such a regular basis has been your comments on the videos, so it'll be cool to get more of that. And because I wouldn't have got this far without you, I figured it'd be fun to look back at some of those comments now. To begin with, I'm lucky to have picked up a couple of regular viewers early on, I think because I actually reached out to a lot of people on the likes of Twitter, Reddit and Goodreads. I gather the vast majority of you prefer to lurk rather than say anything, which is grand, that's more my style too if I'm honest. On top of that though, I've also been lucky to have some people leave comments on a regular basis. People like Kiri Elizabeth, Teddy the Bear, Sound and Fury Book Reviews, Clarky's Shorts, Evan C, Deluctkins 9, Rants and Reviews and Mark Davis to name a few. And in general, I've read some wonderfully insightful comments that probably equal the effort I've put into some of my videos over the past while. On the Dice Man video, for example, Mark wrote up an interesting piece where he postulates on people's personal reactions to the book, the insanity of actually attempting to apply its principles to your own life, and of course, the merits of punk rock. I can't really do the whole screed justice in the time I have here, so if you're interested in the book, I encourage you to go check out what he had to say. On the Farthest Shore video, Chicken Spy left a smart bit about how a culture of sea people in the book represent the liminal space between life and death. I'd say that's a slightly different take than my own, but it's certainly just as interesting. The Farthest Shore is one of those books with an extraordinary amount of nuance, so it's always mind-blowing when somebody can point out another way it can be enjoyed. In that same respect, on the Slaughterhouse 5 video, Michael Finocchiaro and Transpando Pons both pointed out further links between it and Joseph Heller's Catch-22, which I look forward to digging into more someday. That said, not everybody approached the videos in such an academic manner. One of my favourite things to read about when the comments start rolling in is your personal relationships to the books. On the Wizard of Earthsea video, for instance, Maeve mentioned that she'd been slowly getting through the series as she listens to them on her night walks, which to me is just a really cosy image of somebody enjoying Ursula K. Le Guin's work in the nicest possible way. On the Never Let Me Go video, Locutus de Borg took some brief respite from the collective to mention that at 70 years old, Kazuo Ishigiru's book had become one of his favourites, it being a meditation on what makes life worth living. And on the Phantom Tollboot video, Katie Hanna recalled what it was like to devour the book at 6 years old, which was music to my ears because really, as much as I love to analyse and critique this stuff, I also try to utilise all of this music and imagery to help you relive them in another way. Of course, not everybody who commented on the videos were there just to compliment them. There was a fair bit of constructive criticism too. One person on Twitter I remember was kind enough to point out that on my video for 10 great writers who only wrote one great book, I'd inserted a picture of Charlotte Bronte instead of Emily Bronte, which was embarrassing to say the least. But in my defence, if you Google their names, you'll find that about half of the internet has mislabelled which Bronte is which. Nonetheless, I can't actually edit the videos once they've been published on YouTube, so it was a lesson in making sure every single detail I include is correct, though I know a couple of other mistakes that have slipped by. In that video alone, I attributed the electric Kool-Aid acid test to Ken Kesey when it was actually written by Tom Wolfe. Nobody noticed that mistake, so all's well that ends well, I guess. One interesting tidbit I failed to include though was regarding Kurt Vonnegut in the Slaughterhouse 5 video. For those of you who don't know, the book is loosely inspired by Vonnegut's experience as a prisoner of war in the city of Dresden when it was bombed. Much of the book seems to feed off the trauma he dealt with in the aftermath of that bombing, which I discussed in the video, but I actually found an interview with him where he remarks that he was a part of a company that discovered the concentration camps outside of Berlin, and that if he had any trauma, that's where it would have come from. It would have been a great revelation for me to include in my video on the book, but sadly, the thing was already scheduled to go out by the time I discovered it, so I'm just squeezing it in here. As for the style of my videos, Alan Keane pointed out that the text I used was sometimes blurry or difficult to read, which is a fair enough critique. Originally, the videos on the channel all had a VHS blur over everything, so that the text looked like this. But after his comment, I started including more papercraft elements that exist on a layer over the VHS stuff, and that looked like this, which I think gives you a bit of a visual break from the distorted special effects. It's a little extra work for me to render, but Alan probably had a point in how this kind of stuff can at least subconsciously affect the viewer's reception of the essays. While I'm on the topic, I'll just say how pleasantly surprised I am that more people haven't been confused by my approach to editing. The general idea I tried to follow is to take clips from movies that have absolutely nothing to do with the books I'm talking about and glue them all together in some kind of audio-visual version of a magazine collage. To me, it's just kind of a retro cyberpunk aesthetic, like I'm some guy that actually went to the trouble of recording all these movies onto VHS and then edited them together on some crummy dual set contraption to create a film of my own. The other idea behind it though is that I think a lot of great books can sometimes become overshadowed by their movie adaptations. You know, with the likes of The Handmaid's Tale, the reader's experience can actually get taken over by the pop culture imagery provided by Hollywood, to the extent that if you're going to read about Offred's journey through Gilead for the first time, you'll probably have Elizabeth Moss stuck in your head from beginning to end, which is a shame, because I think one of the more magical things about literature is the interaction between the reader's imagination and the writer's. It's this kind of nether space that only exists in your mind, but the chance of experiencing it to its fullest can disappear when somebody else has decided what everything looks like for you. By putting together an alternate set of visuals for the books though, maybe I can help to diffuse some of the pictures that movie directors have created. Now, I've explained all of this to some of my friends in the past and I've mostly gotten blank looks in return, so if I haven't convinced you either, thanks for indulging me anyway. As for the future of Content Lit and what 2021 holds, I would love to keep growing our subscriber base. It would be incredible to actually go full-time making these videos, but something tells me I'd need to be well over 10,000 subs before that could happen, which is probably another few years away. In the meantime, I'll be juggling real life stuff with the YouTube channel, so bear with me if there's some longer breaks between the videos. Just keep in mind if you don't see me posting that I am still working on stuff. At the moment, I've actually just finished making a gargantuan series of videos on Isaac Asimov's Foundation books, which will be released next week. I'd also love to do a series on my favourite Haruki Murakami books before the end of the year, and I hope to cover plenty of other classics with both long and short reviews in the interim. Otherwise, if you want to keep supporting the channel, all you have to do is watch the videos when they're published, give us a like, and if you have any thoughts on where you'd like to see Content Lit go, make sure to jot them down in the comments below. And sure, let me know how you're doing in general. I know we all came into 2021 hoping for a better year, so it'd be good to hear how it's going for you. Until then.